Hello and welcome to Two and a Half Brains. This is our weekly reality wrap-up show, wrapping up the 8th week of Survivor and the Amazing Race here in the fall of 2023, recording November 2023. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/paperproductions. Email the show directly, paperproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe right there on the YouTube channel. Share the post, tell your friends. We're going to talk about these latest episodes here of Survivor and the Amazing Race. Again, try to get this out as quickly as possible so we can get caught up on the episodes and get you guys caught up on the recaps. So let's go ahead and start with Survivor. It'll be just me obviously talking about Survivor, and then we'll bring in Jessica for the Amazing Race portion of the show. So Survivor started off here. A little bit of blowback from the Caleb episode, but not a whole lot. Obviously, he was kind of the consensus vote. They get tree mail the next day talking about how the auction is back, which they showed in the preview that the auction was going to be back. So for the auction, there's a couple different parts to it. The first part of it is that they don't get $500 each, even though a total of about $500 is available per person. They don't get $500 each. There's money scattered throughout the jungle, and they have to go get it. It's hidden in, basically bamboo shoots, bamboo whatever. Branches scattered throughout the jungle. So they have little containers of, again, looks like a trunk of a bamboo tree, but just kind of caught up and filled with money and scattered throughout the jungle. So they have to go look for it, and they have different varying levels of success. Most people end up between 300 and 500. Bruce ends up at $80 because he only finds one. It takes him forever to go out there and get his shoes on and go run and look for stuff, and he only finds one item, and it has $80 in it. They all have different amounts in it. Us ends up with over $900, or roughly $900 worth of money to spend, and then they go to the auction, and they're ready to, once all the money's found, they get to go ahead and get ready to bid on items. Jeff tells them there's no advantages, it's only food items. So I know it's waiting for an advantage or anything like that. It's only food items. The second part of so obviously the first part is that they find the money, and there's no advantages, just food items. The second thing is let's say Jeff reaches into a bag and pulls out a rock. Okay, the rock is a number. It doesn't show anybody what the number is. It's just a number on a rock. That number is between 6 and 15. So there's up to 15 rounds available. Up to 15 rounds on the of the auction. So it's going to stop randomly. In other words, so it's going to stop randomly, and without warning, because whenever we get to the number that Jeff has picked out, that's when it is, and they don't know what that is. Jeff's the only one who knows what that number is. Also, the third part of that, third twist, is that if you, at the end of the auction, have the most money back, you lose your vote. So you lose your vote at that next tribal council. So what that, in essence, means is you have to bid early and often, right? Bid as much as you can, as early as you can, to try to win money, so that way you can not win money, but to win prizes and food, so that way you can not lose your vote. Most items are uncovered, some are covered, and you have to just kind of go based on that. Katurah goes all in. A lot of people just go, as soon as they see something, they bid all their money. So people who are in a tougher spot, or people with less money, which is maybe a good thing because you don't get stuck with it. Also, people with a medium amount of money really get hosed because they are, they can't outbid anybody because people can just bid their max. But also, if you can't outbid somebody, they bid their max, but then you're the next one with the highest amount. So that if the auction ends, then you're in trouble. So that happened to Kelly. It got down to the 8th or 9th item, maybe even 10th item. And Kelly couldn't outbid anybody because she only had like $300. And other people were betting 500, 400, whatever. At one point, Katurah bet all her money, ended up winning 2 fish eyes. 2 huge fish eyes. And she's like, I'm good. She took a bite of it. She's like, I'm good. I don't want any more. And then Jeff's like, all right, well, since you don't want it, I'll put it back up for auction for $100. Austin bought it and took it and ate it. There was one that was, I think Jake won, or somebody won for cake. I think it was Jake. Jake got cake. And You have to pick two other people. Then you pick Bruce and somebody else to go up, and they had till the timer out to eat as much of the cake as they could. So you could share that one. Some cool items. And then it came down to the 10th one, and Kelly was the only one who had it. Really, it was Emily had like $60 left. Bruce had his whole 80 left because he couldn't outbid anybody, and then Kelly had 300. After the 9th one, Jeff's like, "So, Kelly, if you're now the person with the most money, if this is the last round, you will lose your vote." And he says, "This is," and nods his head, and it says, "Not the last one." So they do one more, and because I'm betting whatever it is, could give her all my money. And Emily's like, the way Jeff's carrying that looks like it's a margarita. And she's like, I've been wanting a margarita, so she just goes all in on a covered item. Turns out it is a margarita with a few other things. And she's really excited about it. Bids a lot of money. So now that's the 10th round. And the only one was left again are Bruce with 80 and Emily with 60. And Jeff says 10 was the number. That's the end of the auction. Bruce, you have $80 left. You're the most. You lose your vote. So that's that. They go back to camp, and now they figure out what they want to do. Bruce losing a vote. He's an easy target. So they're gonna try to take out Bruce. It seems like it'd be the consensus for everybody. Kelly's like, he keeps following me around, thinking we're very close. I don't want people think we're close because I could become a target. So Bruce really needs to go. Other people are talking about what they want to do, but it seems like most people are leaning towards Bruce, except for Jake. Doesn't really want to go Bruce's way, but Katurah definitely does, and other people definitely do. So they go to the immunity challenge, and it's a immunity challenge where they basically hold up, with a straight arm, hold up a percentage of their body weight that they started the season with. And so the challenge goes on, and people start, and then there's also a rice negotiation. It's like, hey, if 4 people set out, you get the whole big bag of rice. So 2 people set out right away. I think it was, I feel like it was Austin and maybe Emily. I feel like 2 set out right away. And then Jeff's like, "Oh, you guys can talk about what you want to do, but in the meantime," and he goes and just stabs a hole in the bottom of the bag of rice, and the rice starts pouring out. He's like, "So that's your rice. If you don't want it, And then Drew's like, "All right, I'll step up and do it." And then Katurah's like, everybody's looking around like, "Who wants to, we need one more. We need one more." And then Katurah does it. So then Jeff stops the funneling out of the rice. Basically puts it in a basket, and they have all the rice that's left, which was still a good amount. So 4 people set out, and the challenge begins, and it goes pretty well for a while. Really nobody gets knocked out of the first couple rounds, and each every 5 minutes they basically lower their hand on the ropes. They have less, it's a little bit harder angle and tougher to hold on to, and eventually they get down to just a couple left. I think it's basically Julie, Austin, Bruce, and Jake. Jake drops out, Austin drops out, so it's down to Julie and Bruce, and Julie drops, so Bruce wins the immunity. So he loses his vote, and he's an easy target because he can't even defend himself, he can't play the shot in the dark or anything, but he wins immunity. So he can't vote, but he wins immunity. So that changes things up a little bit. Now they're trying to figure out what they want to do. So the easy vote was Bruce. They got to tribal council after that, and they're trying to decide what they want to do. Drew's talking about, like, you know what, maybe we go after Kelly, because Kelly's got like a lot of part in the game, and she could definitely be a person we could take out. Jake knows he's a possible target because he was the only one who voted with Caleb when Katurah flipped the previous vote. And everybody else voted against Caleb, and he voted for Julie. So that's kind of where he stands, and knows he could be a target. There's some discussion about an all-girls alliance as well, and there's 6 girls now and 4 guys left, so they're like, hey, we get 6 of us, go stick together, pick out the guys, and we go to the end together. Emily's not too confident in that idea because she wants to work with Drew and Austin, so she goes and tells Drew that, hey, there's this girls thing going on, we gotta figure out what we want to do. And we're fine with going with Bruce, but now he has immunity, so they can't. So they're thinking maybe we go after Kelly. That's kind of where the Kelly thing started. But they're also having some trouble getting everybody on board, and they don't want Jake to play his shot in the dark because or if he has an idol, Bruce gives him his idol, they go from there. So they want to keep Jake comfortable, and so he doesn't play an idol. So, and then they're having some trouble getting everybody on board to go after Kelly. So maybe we just make it easy and go after Jake. So, and they're saying, well, if we have to split the votes, where do we go? And everybody's being kind of cagey about who's the backup plan if we can't go after Jake. Well, ultimately, Jake's nervous. He knows it's him. He's talking about, hey, somebody's got to make a move, because if you go out after me, you made a bad move, because that means you could have saved yourself and you didn't. Blah blah blah. So he goes up and he plays a shot in the dark. So he comes back with the scroll and hands it over to Jeff. And Jeff reads it. Jeff says, Jake, you are not safe. So any votes cast for Jake will count. And of course, now we're down to 10 people in the game, but only 8 can vote, because Bruce doesn't have a vote, and neither does Jake, because Jake played the shot in the dark. So Jake's like, darn, I tried it. He's like, I should have had Caleb. He said I should have Caleb kiss it before I used it, because Caleb obviously had it work out. So all the votes cast for Jake will count. So he's definitely nervous about it. The votes come up. First vote Jake. Next vote Jake. Next vote Jake. 3 votes for Jake. Next vote is for Kelly. And Kelly's like, whoa, what? I mean, Bruce couldn't vote, neither could Jake. There was the only 2 who were going to vote against her. So why are there votes not for those who can't vote? So why are there any other votes other than just unanimously for Jake? Next vote comes up for Kelly as well. And she's like, oh my gosh, that's freaking out. Third vote comes up also for Kelly. And she looks over at Austin. Is looking around, looks over at Austin. She goes, did you do this? And he goes, yeah. So much Jay Starrett from Millennials Gen X and Michaela. Michaela's like, what? Did you do this? And he's like, yeah, I did it. And Austin's like, yeah. And then another vote comes over for Kelly. It's 4 votes for Kelly, 4 votes for Kelly, 3 votes for Jake. And she's like, all upset. And then Emily's like, you played a really good game. You played a really good game. And she's like, oh my gosh, she's freaking out. Gets all upset. And of course, 5th vote comes in. It's for Kelly. Kelly's voted 5-3. So basically what happened is the old Bello girls, Kelly, Katura, and Kendra, all voted for Jake. And then the rest, which would have been Austin, Drew, Emily, Dee, and Julie, all voted for Kelly. And Kelly goes out 5-3. So what did Kelly do wrong? Why did she lose? She was definitely a huge threat. I mean, being too much of a threat is definitely a big part of it. She was controlling a lot of the game and like that. So often, I think, and this is kind of a mistake that a lot of players make, and it's not really, it's hard to say it's really fault them too bad when you have somebody who's kind of combustible that nobody really likes. In this case, Bruce. It's hard to not want to take them to the end. It's very, very tempting to take them to the end to make them the GOAT. But it's very simplified. It's a very simplified game to play. And especially, it's hard enough to get yourself to the end in this modern game with all the twists and everything like that. It's hard enough to do that. It's even harder to get 2 people to the end. Right. So Bruce was, everyone wanted to go for Bruce. They couldn't go for Bruce, so they knew that he kept telling everybody that he's Kelly's number 1, and Kelly's his number 1. And Kelly's like, he's not really, I don't really like him, but I'm here, put up with him. And so he was not, but he kept telling everybody, they're close. And Kelly, like, just leave me alone. No, we're not close, blah, blah, blah. But she, wasn't going to say it there to his face either. What Kelly should have done, ideally, was turn on Bruce sooner. Now, granted, they got split into 2 tribes last time, so there really wasn't an opportunity because there's only 6 people, and Bruce is one of them, and, whatever. But she had immunity, so she could have maybe, used her, her leverage as personal immunity to get rid of Bruce. But she felt it was a little too early, and maybe it was. But ultimately, they couldn't go after Bruce. They didn't want to go after Jake because they know they can get rid of Jake whenever they want. So they said, well, let's get rid of his next best ally. Plus, the rest is the most connected to everybody else, right? She's got alliances with everybody. She's got the all-girls thing if she wants. She can go with the old Bella thing if she wants. She's got Bruce in her pocket, so she can go really any way she wants. and they're like, well, getting rid of her will be beneficial for everybody's game. I think that's kind of the move they made. Kelly, didn't want to be close to Bruce. Bruce kept telling everybody he's close to her, so he's kind of like the Pernault, the Bruce Pernault, right? The Pernault pathogen is just affecting everything that it touches, and in this case, it brings Kelly out of the game and really sunk her game. She made a couple of little mistakes, but for the most part, she was in a really good spot. I thought she had a really good shot to win, but unfortunately for her, it didn't work out that way. So Kelly becomes second member of the jury, and then we'll see what happens for the next vote. But a really exciting episode. An actual move that was made. Drew and Austin pretty much spearheaded it. I think Dee's is in a real good spot as well, and then Emily. If she can get to the end, she can't just ride coattails. She has to make some moves. And then Julie hasn't really done a whole heck of a lot either. So I think that right now the three who have the best shot to win this whole thing are definitely Drew, Austin, and Dee. And not necessarily that order, but I think, then obviously Kendra, I think, is kind of drawing dead. Katura is only focused on Bruce. Bruce nobody likes, wants to work with. And then Jake is probably the next one to go. So we'll see how it turns out in the next couple of votes. But that's kind of where I'm seeing it set up right now. So that's it right now, and that's who's in the best spot. Got down to the final 9 now, like I said. Down to the final 9. And then looks like there's going to be something next week where they divide into 3 teams, and then the loser of the reward challenge all lose their vote or something like that. We'll see how that works out, but it's going to be very interesting. We'll see. There's been some very interesting stuff that's been happening this season. As per usual, though, there's too much happening. Like, right after the merge, right before the merge, right around the merge, a lot of things happen, right? A lot of, even, like I said, the first couple votes are usually pretty straightforward. Then they get into a swap or right around the merge, and there's a couple of interesting things that happen with interesting moves. And then right after they're at the merge and right after the merge, there's interesting moves usually. And then by like the final 7, everybody good is out of the game, or they're just isolated and dead to rights. So it's why it gets down to the final 4 or 5, and they're like, oh god, nobody who's worth anything has a chance to win. And so the final 3 is always garbage because of that reason. So I like to see a little less randomness. It is exciting. It makes for a good show, but makes for a bad winner. So I like to have maybe find that balance a little more, because Survivors really struggle with it. Maybe this season will do it. Maybe, if it's the final 3 that ends up being the final 3, great. But I don't know. I feel like there's a little bit too much randomness thrown into the game, and it makes it difficult for a good player to navigate, because if you play at all and make any moves at all, you get knocked out, and then you're left with people that didn't do much. So that's a little bit of my fear going forward. But we'll see what happens. See how the next couple episodes play out. And then we'll go ahead and switch gears, bring in Jessica for a talk about the Amazing Race this week. Let's bring in Jessica. Jessica, welcome.
Oh, hello.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Not too bad. Having a little technical difficulties as per usual, because things are awful and suck. But let's go ahead and how are you doing? What was your night?
It's fine. I wasn't even going to talk about the ice cream again, but I had some delicious ice cream, and now this is making it not so amazing anymore.
Well, what was the ice cream?
It was chocolate custard with hot fudge and peanut butter sauce and Kit Kats, and it was very good. But this is all getting me frustrated.
All right. Well, I'm sorry about the technical difficulties. Let's go ahead and talk about the Amazing Race. We'll dive into the episode here. Fun episode. Let's go ahead and get started.
Yeah, Cliff Notes. Anyways, so things happen and such.
Yeah.
They left from Germany to Slovenia. Mm-hmm. They had to go to a travel agent. Greg and John got on the first flight. Todd and Ashley, Corey and Rob ended up doing standby and getting on the first flight that left at 4. Everybody else left on a flight that was around 7 or 8 o'clock. Mm-hmm. From the flight, they had to take a train. The first 3 groups tried to take an earlier train, hop around to all different trains, and attempted to get to Slovenia at 1 a.m. However, they missed one of their connecting trains and had to take a train back into the opposite direction to the beginning point and take the original train with everybody else to get there around, I think, 8 o'clock in the morning or something like that.
Yeah, it was tough because they had their lead and like that, but then one of the trains was delayed and that screwed them.
Yes.
They had not enough layover time.
Damn trains. No. It was already a 5-minute layover, and their train was delayed, and then they missed it because of that. So,
yep.
Yes.
So everybody basically starts at the same spot on the same train.
Yeah. They lost an 8-hour advantage, but it's fine. Anyways.
So what happened then? What was next?
Kubox, they had to pick up a car. They had to go to a airfield for Who Wants a Bird's Eye View, riding in a glider that was pulled by a plane that gets released that glides over water for their clue, looking for numbers for the year that Slovenia gained its independence.
So it's looking for numbers. They land and they ask the question based on those 4 numbers. What year did Slovenia gain its independence?
See.
And it was a roadblock. Only one player was able to perform that test.
Correct. And Todd could not do it. He is too tall. Could not do it. Right. Anyways, so.
Hold that thought. Yes, exactly. So then obviously once they get the answer, so who got there first?
Garrett and Joel got there first. Rob and Corey got there second. Mm-hmm. John and Greg got there third. I think Todd and Ashley were fourth. Yeah. Garrett went up, came down, got it wrong, said it was 11.99. That's not right. Rob went up, came back down. He knew it because he pays attention to current events. In the actual year is 1991. Slovenia gained its independence. And then I forgot who went up for Greg and John. I think it was John. Not sure.
I can
tell Ashley. Yeah, I can tell them apart. I just never learned their name on who's who. Right. So Ashley went up. She came down, got it right. Most people, for the most part, got it right because apparently there was an arrow that pointed in the direction of the numbers, and it was kind of in order. So it said 1991 in the water. Garrett, when he got it wrong, he had to wait in line before he could go up again because there were only 2 gliders. So if anybody was in line, he had to wait.
Yep.
Yes. And then Annalie and Steve got very lost. Had to keep asking for directions. She kept whining. Eventually they found it.
Yeah, they found the airfield. Like, I can see the air gliders. I just don't know how to get there. And they eventually got there.
And they had to ask again. Yeah. So they got there last. Lena and Morgan.
Who?
Lena and Morgan were there still when they got there, but obviously Lena had to go up twice. She got it wrong the first time because she found a random 7 that didn't exist and a 6 that wasn't there. But she went up, got it right. Steve went up, got it right. But it took them a long time to get there to that point.
Yes.
From there, they went to their next route information, and there is a cross-country ski indoor to get to their next detour clue. However, at that point, there was an express pass option. Even though other people got left first, Rob and Corey left before, and Greg and John, Todd and Ashley ended up getting there first, decided they wanted to try for the express pass, got very lost, couldn't find the right stairs, even though they were right there labeled, went down to a whole other stack of stairs. And then at that point, Rob and Corey got there, didn't see anybody up there, and decided to start running up themselves. Todd and Ashley eventually did see it, came over, attempted it. She was getting too tired. They decided to turn around.
Save the energy.
Right. Greg and John got there. They also decided they were going to try and get it and, try and overtake Rob and Corey. But as they were running up, they thought that they were almost to the end of it and decided to turn around as well because they were both getting tired running up all the stairs.
Yep. And it turned out, too, the ironic part was that Greg and John thought that Rob and Corey were basically done, but they actually were halfway done and they couldn't see the rest of the stairs from their vantage point. And Corey said if John and Greg would have kept running, they probably would have overtaken them because they're faster, more athletic, and Rob was really struggling, but they didn't see how far they had slow to go.
Right, exactly. Yep. So after they got the express pass, they got to zip line down, then had to go do the uphill cross country ski, basically indoors.
A lot of energy being used in this challenge. For
right.
Sure.
So in that time, I think it was Todd and Ashley, Greg and John. I'm trying to think of. I think even Lena and Robin and Chelsea, and I think Morgan and Lena even got the cross-country skiing thing done. Joel and Garrett weren't there yet, and neither was Steve and Anna Lee. Got their express pass. They went down, did this uphill cross-country skiing, and got their detour clue, which was field work, where teams would collect and fluff hay. They put in a rack, and basically stack it, have to pack it in, or housework, where teams would have to assemble a home for a family of bees. So it was building the whole kit and caboodle of the beehive thing.
Yep.
So Greg and John go to the bees, but decided to switch to hay. Robin and Chelsea go to hay. Robin and Corey go to hay. Almost everybody pretty much does the hay except for Steve and Anna Lee. And Joel and Garrett do the beehive.
And before they do the beehive, what does Steve and Anna Lee do? What do they attempt to do?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I almost forgot
One of the
that.
biggest blunders, other than maybe the second biggest blunder of the season, other than the what's her faces, Team Philly last week. It was probably the only bigger blunder the whole season, and one of the biggest blunders in several seasons.
Do you call blunder? I call really stupid.
Yeah, dumb.
Just not paying attention. So they get to the express pass area.
They're the last ones to get there.
Yes, they're the last ones to get there. And decide, we got to try for it and just start taking up off the stairs, but don't look to see if it's marked or, if it's there. If you're the last team, how could you think that someone else left it?
And,
no one left it for you.
And you're going to be, unless you're going to use it that day, which it's going to take you as much time to use it, to get it, as it is to, it's so stupid to do it, because even if you get it,
right?
Even if you get it, you still have to use all that time to get it, to then use it later on the task later on the line in the same episode, because you're even further behind because you just wasted all that time.
I mean, you'd have to use it on the detour, because that's the only way you could get through.
But you wasted the time to get it, so you say just save the time, go do the task.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking.
Idiotic.
It's really dumb.
Really stupid.
Yeah.
So Steve's sweating bullets. He's sucking air. He's bigger guy. He gets all the way up to the top, and Annalie's like, "Do you have the thing for us?" And he's like, "Nah,
it's already gone."
Bruh.
The thing I don't agree with is they let them zip line back down. They should have made them do the stairs.
I think it's probably too dangerous to walk down, because there were people coming up behind them.
Was there?
Yeah, there were just tourists coming up behind them to use it.
Whatever. In normal things, they would be like, you gotta go back. They wouldn't just let you do it, but that's fine, I guess.
I didn't love it, but it was a huge... they were already behind, and then having to do that took forever.
Right.
That had to have just taken everything out of them. All right, so then after that, obviously they go to the detour, and they already, we already said who went where. Everybody went to the fluffing the hay, and then just Joel and Garrett did, and Steve and Annalie did the birdhouses, or the beehouses.
Yep. Correct. And then also they forgot their notebook.
Yes.
Joel and Garrett had to turn back around and go get their notebook from the bee houses, and still were done before Steve and Annalie.
Well, right. So, and of course, Steve and Annalie got there really late, and so the first 14 pretty much got done and got to the pit stop, and it was down to the last 3, and then Joel and Garrett they got done before Steve and Annalie pretty much even got there.
Yeah.
And then they started driving, and he's like, "Oh crap, I forgot my notebook." And they're like, "Do you need it?" He goes, "Well, we want to." It's like the notes they took on all the last legs of the race. All the legs of the race, pit stops, whatnot, so that way if they have a cumulative test at the end, like they do sometimes, they'll have all their notes. So they don't want to lose that, so they decided to go back. I'm like, oh, that's a risk, because, you might be last now.
Yeah, it seems like they both left their notebook too, so.
At one point, right? I think the one left his fanny pack one spot, and the one left the notebook one spot.
No, they both picked something up when they went back to the beehive thing.
Maybe.
So, yeah, I don't know.
So they went back and they grabbed it, and Steve and Annalie were about halfway through when they got back, and then grabbed their stuff and returned.
Right. So from there, they got their next information, which they had to go to the skyscraper to find their next clue, and basically it was another set of stairs. It was up a long flight of stairs. At the top, getting their pit stop information. Trying to think of the the order. I'm pretty sure it was Greg and John got there first, I believe.
Should say. It should say at the bottom there. Yeah.
I mean, I knew who finished first. I just
I see.
So, yeah, I'm pretty sure Greg and John got there first and got the pit stop information. Then it was Todd and Ashley, and then Rob and Corey as well. So that was basically first, second, third.
Yeah. And it was a race because Todd and Ashley and Greg and John were racing for first place.
That's what it was. Yeah, that's what I was trying to remember. So I don't know if it was they got there first or Todd and Ashley, but they got there very close.
Yeah.
And then after that, Joel and Garrett ended up getting there fourth, Robin and Chelsea. Then it was a foot race between Steve and Annalie and Morgan and Lena.
And yeah, and every time she says Lena, it pierces my ears. Why?
Because every time Morgan talks to her, that's all she does is yell her name. So I got sick of hearing it, so I decided to yell it too.
And every time you do, you scare the name of her. You scare the heck of her cat.
She's fine, Lena.
So Lena gets scared when she hears that.
She doesn't know. I'm just gonna keep yelling it.
Please don't.
Every time. Yep. So she says, Lena, you don't listen to me, Lena. You were supposed to make a right back there.
Yeah.
Everything was Lena. Lena. But anyways.
Marsha.
Exactly.
Okay. So it was a foot race. Obviously, it's crazy that Garrett and Joel got there before even Robin and Chelsea because they were way behind too. But Lena and Morgan got really lost driving.
So yeah, it's crazy that Steve and Annalie and Morgan and Lena was that close. But yeah, they got really lost driving because I don't know, Morgan kept yelling Lena and not giving her actual directions.
Yes.
So
the placement order was, like you said, Greg and John, Todd and Ashley were racing, both got there really close. Then I think Rob and Corey those three were pretty much neck and neck the whole race.
Yeah.
The whole leg.
Right.
And then those three so then it was that order, and then it was Joel and Garrett, and then Robin and Chelsea, right?
Yep. Even despite Rob and Corey going for the express pass, they still got out fast from a lot of things.
Absolutely. And then so it came down to it, and who finished sixth and who finished seventh?
Sixth was Steve and Annalie, and seventh eliminated was Morgan and Lena.
Exactly.
So I'm sure she heard that a lot on the way home.
I know. What did they do wrong? Why'd they lose?
Oh, man. Lack of communication made me laugh when they said they came on the race to work on their relationship and bond, and all I heard was a lot of yelling.
Yeah, for sure.
Arguing.
I mean, there's really two reasons teams lose the missing race. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to two things. I mean, teams usually do about the same on the tasks, the challenges, so making good decisions on the task you pick. But it comes down to usually attention to detail and communication.
Yeah.
And they were really, 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 really bad at one of them. They were okay at the other one, so, but they were really, really bad at one. And the communication was a really bad one. They just yelled, bickered pretty much the entire time.
Yeah.
Not great.
No, it wasn't good, and it got really annoying to hear.
And they said they weren't calm under pressure. They'd start yelling, arguing with each other, trying to drive places. You know, when they're in a taxi, whatever, it is what it is. But when they had to actually drive themselves, a lot of arguing.
I mean, any task, there was some sort of bickering. There was always a finger pointing about something. You're not listening. You're not communicating. You know, I hope they got what they wanted to out of the race and working on their relationship, whatever. But that is not what came across to everybody else.
Not at all. And like I said, the team who has the best bond, the best relationship, best communication, do the best.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're fine at the tasks for the most part, but their communication killed them.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yep.
That's why they lost.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and quickly do a power ranking 6 to 1.
Okay.
So I would put 6.
Steve and Annalie.
Yes, for sure. I think they'll be out next. If not, it'll be 5. Who I think is Robin and Chelsea.
I think maybe Joel and Garrett.
Yeah, I thought Joel and Garrett would be last this week, but they survived and they actually did decent. They're good at navigating. That's one thing, but yeah, I don't know. I think the top 3 is pretty solid.
Between 4 and 5 can be either or, but Joel and Garrett, Robin and Chelsea.
For sure. And then 3, I think we can agree is
Ashley and Todd.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. I think they are destined to me to be the team who gets to the last leg of the race, gets to the pit stop, gets to the finish line, like 3 hours after the team who won.
One can hope.
That's what I think's gonna happen. I mean, I see that happening. To me, they're like a really good team who just like, is solid. They do solid. They never win a leg. They never get to they never,
Something happens, they get a little lost.
Yeah.
Something.
Right, and then there's always another team who messes up a little more than they do, so the team always gets eliminated. But I just see them getting to the end, and everybody's clapping for them, and they say congratulations, you complete the race, you're team number 3. I just can see it.
Yeah.
Sometimes that team wins, but oftentimes the team is way late.
Yeah, which is fine. I'm probably fine with the top 3 anyways.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
Who do you think is number 2?
I think they could be either or.
Yeah.
At this point.
I think it's Robin Corey is 2 because they're really good, they're really solid, but I think John and Greg are very smart and they're more athletic. Like Robin and Corey are smart and they're good. They communicate well, but they're not as athletic. And that's the only reason I give it to John and Greg.
I'm never gonna agree with you that athletics means everything with this show.
No, it doesn't. But if John and Greg, if it comes down to a foot race, I'm taking John and Greg.
Well, yeah, if it comes down to foot race, but most of the time this isn't. It's all about strategy and stuff, and Greg and John are very smart, but I think Rob and Corey also are able to pull out random things when they need to as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think they're 1 and 1A for sure. They're the 2 best teams, I think.
Hey, if they need someone to climb stairs, they're ready for it.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't the to get to the pit stop, or the one to get to the one before that had to go up a long spiral staircase. Was that
the last one?
Yeah.
That was to get to the pit stop, and then Rob said no more stairs.
Yes, ever.
And I said, yeah, I know. I agree.
Ridiculous.
Be fine with that.
So cool. I think that's pretty much. I think the bottom 3 are pretty interchangeable. The top 3 are pretty interchangeable. But I feel like the top 2. I think the top 2
are interchangeable.
For
I
sure.
think.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
Yep.
Anything else?
No.
Perfect. Well, we'll be back here next week and try to get these out on and get caught up. We're still a little bit behind. We're still gonna try to get them caught up. Still try to get them out to you so you have the newest episode as soon as possible. But it is what it is. We took a nice week and a half vacation and don't regret it. So.
Lena. Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
Perfect. Well, I know one thing. I got nothing else for you. Oh, be sure to subscribe. Sorry. I do got one more thing for you. Be sure to subscribe to miss anything.
Nice.
You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/PaperMillProductions. Email papermillproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe right there on the YouTube channel. Share the post. Tell your friends. We'll be back as soon as possible to get you the next episodes. We got to watch them. It's a lot. We have gone away on vacation before and recorded shows, but they're not 3 hours. It was 2 hours. So it's a little bit, it's a little bit harder to get the shows watched and out this time because it's hard to get caught back up. We don't have the time in the week to do it, unfortunately. But
Yep.
if you subscribe, you'll get it right when they come out. You don't have to worry about it. Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Nope.
I got nothing else for you because I'm serious this time. I got nothing else for you because the tribe has spoken.
Lena! Safe travels. Bit delayed.